Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. Now, on Tuesday coming, Civilnet will host the second session of their virtual four-part crime symposium entitled Turning the Tide of Crime and Violence in Tobago, a Public Health Approach. Session 2 explores the untold truth about society's failure to develop our youth and will be hosted by Sociologist Dr. David Mohammed. Now, Civilnet's chair, Rodney Piggott, joins us this morning to inform us on exactly what we can expect next Tuesday. Good morning to you, Mr. Piggott.
And good morning, Brother Ruckus. How are you doing today, sir?
I am fine, thank you. And how are you?
Very good, very good, very good.
So let me ask you firstly, before we get into session 2, how was session 1, the crime and taxation is gang violence with the price? How was that session it would have been on Tuesday this week, yeah?
Yes, session 1 went very, very well. It was a very good start. Again, this is a virtual session, so people came into Zoom and they also tuned into our Facebook page to view this dynamic presenter that just came, as he is, Ruckus. This is, again, a gentleman, a brother from Trinidad, born in Trinidad, who found himself on the wrong side of the tracks, of the social tracks. And at a very young age, I believe around 18, 19, chose to go down the road of high crimes, got involved with gangs and pushing drugs and so forth, as we would say on the streets, moving weight. And, he moved some serious weight to the point where he was in the United States at the time. He went there to go to school, and so the kind of weight he was moving and the kind of life he was living was such that once the law caught up with him, it costed him 11 years in federal lockup. So he went to real prison, right? No remand or anything of that nature where you could sneak cell phone in and all these kind of things. He went to real federal prison and served 11 years there and learned some valuable lessons while there. And so when he came back out, he was deported back to Trinidad, as is the custom of the United States. And when he came back, he chose again, just like he chose the life of crime. He chose now to turn his life completely around and said, you know what? There's a lot of youth like me around this place, and I see them. They're going down the same road I chose. Let me see if I can put a bug in their ear and tell them, don't go down that road, make a different choice. And this is how you make that choice. So let me see how I can actually help them make a better choice. Don't just talk to them, which was one of the key messages that he brought, is that we tend to do a lot of talking, and we want to talk to the youth, tell them to do this, tell them to do that, and so on and so forth, but we're not showing them. We're not actually giving them the things to actually get it done. And so he decided to turn his life around and formed a group called No Youth Left Behind.
Right.
There out of La Brea, and is doing some wonderful things with that group and helping a lot of young people, young men, avoid going down that wrong road.
Yeah. So,
right?
Mr. Piggott, I wanna jump in here because that actually is a great way to segue into next week's topic, which would be the untold truth about society's failure to develop our youth. Because you talk about that idea of just talking and no action. So tell me firstly why this topic was chosen and how we plan to explore it next week.
Exactly, because again, we want to focus society's outlook and how they're looking at what's taking place. We see the crimes taking place, and everyone is kind of looking at it like, that ain't really my concern. I am not involved in that. That is those people doing that, and so forth and so forth. And then what we're forgetting is that in days gone by, when we didn't have this kind of social ills, right? It's not only because there weren't the internet and the TV and these things. It's vastly because society itself was very much involved in socializing the young people up into life, right? What do I mean by that? it was everyone's concern. You know, if you as a young one walking through the village and you walk by an elder or something like that, and you want to be fast and out of place and things of that nature, that elder will pull you up right there and then.
Yeah.
You know, and by the time you get home, the news got home that you misbehaved, that you stepped out of line. You know, the line that the village had you on in terms of this is the young us coming up. And so everybody was involved in socializing the youth in those days. Now, nobody's concerned. We walled off from each other. We build our houses. We put fences around our houses. You know, so now the youth can't even cut through our yard to go to the other place over there where you might be able to, as they cut through, give them a good word. You know, something like that. And then and every step they take, they keep hearing this kind of word coming. So the youth now feel protected. You see, when you give people attention and you give people respect, especially the youth, which is what they all are looking for, respect. When you give them that respect and say, hey, I see you walking, I see you stepping, I'm paying attention to you, that makes them feel loved and protected. And when they feel loved and protected, then they want to do more, to get more of that. But when they don't get that, they'll burn down the village to feel warm. And so we want society to know that we are responsible for the youth. It's not just the mother's fault, right? We hear some of our leaders pointing to the mothers and saying, oh, it's the mother's fault that the youth are going wild. Oh, it's the father's fault that the youth are going wild. It takes a village to socialize a child on the right side of the track, and it takes a village to socialize a child on the wrong side of the track by not giving them the right nutrients that they need to grow. Remember, when the fruit on that tree, you pick that fruit and that fruit is all sour and doesn't taste right, you can't blame the fruit, you know. The fruit didn't grow itself. The fruit didn't give itself its nutrients that it needed to grow. That came through the roots.
Yeah.
You have to look at the tree. You have to look at the roots and say, well, you know, what's going on here? And
so
pay
Mr.
attention to that, you see. And that's what we need to do in society today. Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Piggott, we don't have much time left. We have just over a minute left, but I really wanted to get just a brief overview as to why Dr. David Mohammed was chosen to be the speaker for this particular topic.
Dr. David is a very powerful voice on the scene in Trinidad and Tobago. He is the director of the Black Agenda Project and the founder of the Kwame Ture Center. And if you pay attention to this brother, he always has a group of young people that he is working with. When you hear this brother's story and you look at this brother and really look into how this brother is moving, there are a lot of youth that could go down the wrong side of the track that is going down the right side of the track because of Dr. David Mohammed. He cares and he shares. He doesn't just talk. He actually puts his money, he invests his money in the young people. He invests his time in the young people. You know, I mean, the brother has it going on in terms of his finances. He doesn't have to do that. He could do like most of us do, just go on vacation and enjoy our own life in our own space, put a fence around his house and just mind his business and so on and so forth. But no, he's putting his hands into society and saying, let us begin the process and to cultivate and socialize our young people from going down the wrong side of the track. So he's going to bring a very powerful message to society to say, look, this is all of our business. This is the all of society involvement. You think crime is out of place? You think crime has reached a level of epidemic? Then what are you going to do about it? Stop sitting back and just whispering behind back and things of that nature and get involved.
All right. Well, Mr. Piggott, let me thank you so very much for joining us this morning. Of course, it's the second installment, the second session is happening, and it's happening on Tuesday, the 19th. We can head across the Civilnet social media to get more information about it if you want to be a part of it. But thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Piggott, and enjoy the rest of your day.
And thank you, and TTT.
Take care. That's Rodney Piggott, the chairman of Tobago Civilnet. You can head across to their social media to get more information about the event on Tuesday and how you can be a part of it. We're talking about the untold truth about society's failure to develop our youth. Let's take a quick break and come back with more on the Now Morning Show. Birthday shouts when we come back.